Do you know who the dumbest character in Jujutsu Kaisen is? What about who's the tallest, the oldest, or what about the most beautiful? Well, today I'll go over every single record holder in Jujutsu Kaisen. So, let's get started with the record holder for the absolute dumbest character in the series. And no, it's actually not Juzo Kumiya. I know, this guy thought he could take down Gojo, but the dumbest character in the series, that's Yuji Itadori. I mean, not only does Nobara always call him an idiot, but even he calls him an idiot as well. Like, remember when Todo was smashing his head during their fight? Yuji literally screamed at him to stop because he didn't want to get any dumber than he already was. So yeah, Yuji knows he's not smart. He needs his fingers to count, and oh yeah, this guy ate Sukuna's finger with zero hesitation. I mean, you gotta be stupid to eat this. So Yuji is the dumbest, but who's the smartest? Well, I know a lot of you thought about Kenjaku since this guy came up with this insane plan to take down Gojo, create Yuji as the perfect vessel for Sukuna, and set up the entire culling games to make his dream come true. But let's be real, someone who is way smarter than Kenjaku, that's obviously Todo. This guy has an IQ of 350,000. Yeah, he's one of the smartest in all of anime. And we can see this genius's brain in action when he helped Yuji learn how to control cursed energy by explaining it so simple that Yuji instantly learned Black Flash. He even made him level up to become strong enough to fight special grade curses. We then saw him read Hanami's entire moveset in 0.01 seconds and instantly figured out how to defend against her attacks. On top of that, he's top at Jujutsu High in both grades and sorcery. And oh, remember his whole fight with Mahito, the fake clap at the end, or how he clapped Mahito's hand? That's his 530,000 IQ in action. But okay, enough about brains, let's instead talk about looks. Specifically, the most beautiful man in the series. And yeah, we all know that's obviously Satoru Gojo. I mean, everyone thinks this man looks super hot. Like, remember when he went to Riko Amanai's school and every single girl instantly fell in love with him? Even the teacher gave him her phone number. Plus, we've seen Mei flirt with him, Miwa fangirl over him and say he's just so hot. And honestly, anyone that sees this tall man with his snow-white hair and piercing blue eyes can see that he's just straight up beautiful. I mean, I know you, the one watching this video right now, definitely think Gojo is hot. So, we know who the most beautiful man is, but what about the most beautiful woman? Now, some might say it's Mei, some might say Nobara, or what about Yuki Tsukumo? I mean, we know people think she's ridiculously hot. And some might even say Mahito. Okay, maybe not. But the most beautiful woman in the series is actually Takada. Yep. I mean, you don't become a super famous idol in Japan unless you're absolutely stunning. Like, we literally see how much people, especially Todo, are just drooling over her because she's just that good looking. Oh, and Takada is even banned from dating, because that would make all the guys super mad and not even be fans anymore, since they're all dreaming of dating her. So yeah, Takada is obviously the most beautiful woman in the series. Now, who's the tallest at Jujutsu High? Well, that title goes to Panda. This guy stands at around 2 meters tall, or if you're using freedom units, that's about 6 feet 7 inches. Yeah, just look at this guy. He's literally towering over everyone. I mean, of course he does. He's a panda, and I know he seems like the kindest and cutest ever. But if you make him mad, he'll absolutely destroy you with his insane raw strength, and I'm not even talking about when he switches forms and taps into his siblings' power boosts. And bonus fact, right behind Panda in height are Gojo and Todo, who are both over 190 centimeters or 6 feet 3 inches. But alright, moving on from the tallest at Jujutsu High to the shortest, and that's obviously Momo Nishimiya. As even though she's 18 years old, she's just 150 centimeters tall, that's 4 feet 11 inches. So sure, Momo is this short cutie, but do not underestimate her, because with her broom, she'll blast super strong gusts of cursed energy and send you flying. But talking about height, we also gotta talk about age. And the oldest character in the entire series is, of course, Tengen. We know for a fact that Tengen is over 1,500 years old, though we don't know her exact age. But how is she that old? Well, Tengen's curse technique is immortality, which obviously means Tengen literally can't die. However, that doesn't stop Tengen from aging, so every 500 years, Tengen has to reset by merging with a star plasma vessel like Riko Amanai to stay in a human form. But as that mission obviously failed thanks to Toji, Tengen has now evolved into something else. Yeah, Tengen is now more of a cursed spirit than a human. And oh, this is how Tengen looked before. Anyway, staying with the oldest characters, we've got the oldest character at Jujutsu High, and that's Yoshinobu Gakuganji. Yeah, this guy is 76 years old and he's still out here kicking. Sure, some of you might hate him, but you have to admit that he's pretty badass. I mean, he literally uses an electric guitar and plays music to take down his opponents. So okay, Gakuganji is the oldest at Jujutsu High, but the youngest, that's actually Yuji Itadori. Yeah, Yuji was born on March 20th, 2003, making him only 15 years old. Yep, you heard that right. Yuji is only 15, and this guy is still out here fighting these terrifying curses, watching his friends die, and always putting his life on the line to protect people. So he's gone through way more than most people will do in their entire life. So he might be young, but he's still one of the strongest and mentally tough characters in the series. Now, let's literally pick up the pace and talk about who the fastest character is. And sure, we have the obvious picks like Sukuna, but first, let's talk about Naobito Zenin. This man was known as the fastest sorcerer alive, except for Gojo, of course, and that's all thanks to his projection sorcery. This technique lets him divide 1 second into 24 frames and move according to a preset path, basically turning himself into an animation. Yeah, he moves so fast it looks like he's teleporting. So sorry, Naoya, but your dad is faster than you. But someone else we need to talk about is Hajime Kashimo. With his lightning-based curse technique, Kashimo is as fast as lightning, making him one of the fastest and strongest in the entire series. And when he goes into his mythical beast Amber form, he literally becomes lightning. Yeah, we even see him speed blitz Sukuna, which is insane. But sorry guys, I have to be boring because the fastest, that's Satoru Gojo. Why? Because he's Gojo. Like, we literally saw Gojo take out every single transfigured human at Shibuya Station in only 299 seconds by hand to save everyone. That's insane. Plus, he can of course just teleport to where he wants to be, which technically makes him the fastest. But instead of the fastest, let's talk about the slowest. And honestly, I don't even know who the slowest runner actually is, but the one I picked as the slowest is actually Kusakabe. Wait, what? He's super fast when he draws his blade to take out his opponents. And yeah, sure, you're right, but Kusakabe has to be the slowest, because this guy really doesn't want to die. What I mean by that is, remember during the Shibuya incident when he and Panda were supposed to go help Gojo? Yeah, they were really taking their sweet time, as Kusakabe had Panda checking everywhere for people to help, and did basically anything to avoid getting closer to where the real chaos was happening. So yep, Kusakabe is the slowest in the series when it comes to walking into danger. Alright, moving on, we've got the record holder for the scariest in the series, and although a lot of guys can get terrifying like Yuji, I mean, just look at him. The scariest, that's obviously Sukuna. Remember at Shibuya when Jogo set off a massive explosion and Kusakabe, Panda, and the others tried to run for their lives? Yeah, Sukuna came out of nowhere and told them to stop. Even though the fire was closing in on them, they all just froze and didn't move a muscle. That's how scared they were of him. Plus, if you don't follow Sukuna's exact orders, you will instantly die. But yeah, even if you do follow his orders, you might die either way, and that's what makes him so terrifying. And just look at him. Now, let's continue by talking about the strongest characters in the series, and let's start with the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer. And yeah, we all know that's Satoru Gojo. Sure, some of you might say it's Yuji, because of what we see in Modulo, but as this is only about Jujutsu Kaisen, it's obviously Gojo. Since the day he was born, he was basically the strongest sorcerer in the world, as he inherited both the Limitless technique and the Six Eyes. And with his Limitless technique, he's got Infinity, which means you literally can't touch him, which makes him unbeatable. Plus, he's got the most broken attacks in the series. We're talking Curse Technique Lapse Blue, Curse Technique Reversal Red, and the technique he came up with on his own, Hollow Technique Purple, which literally erases everything in its path. And then there's his Domain Expansion Unlimited Void, which overloads your brain with infinite information and leaves you completely helpless. But honestly, Gojo doesn't even need Curse Technique to be the strongest, because just with his insane speed, raw power, hand-to-hand combat, and martial arts, he can literally destroy special grade curses without breaking a sweat. So yeah, Gojo is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer, and he knows it. But who is the strongest non-sorcerer? And well, we actually have a tie here, because the strongest non-sorcerers, that's both Maki Zenin and Toji Fushiguro. Wait, I know you're probably raging at me in the comments, but just hear me out. I mean, sure, Toji has way more experience than Maki, and he's just way bigger. But, as they both have the same type of heavenly restriction after the death of Mai, they have the same strength, speed, and just insane raw power. If you don't believe me, Gege himself even said that they're equal in strength. And yeah, these two powerhouses are just insanely powerful. Like we saw Toji take down Gojo on his own, and Maki fought against Sukuna, showing that they're both one of the strongest in the entire world. And as they don't have any cursed energy, they fully rely on their ridiculous raw strength and speed to take down just about anyone who dares to stand in their way. Moving on from non-sorcerers to curse users, the strongest curse user, that's of course, Sukuna. Yeah, curse users are sorcerers who use Jujutsu for evil things. And the strongest and most evil of all, that's Sukuna. I mean, he's called the King of Curses for a reason. This guy has insane cursed energy, ridiculous battle IQ, and techniques like cleave and dismantle that basically slice through anything. And don't even get me started on Malevolent Shrine, a domain expansion with no barrier that just shreds everything in a massive radius. Just look at Shibuya. And although he can pull out attacks like Divine Flame and burn a literal volcano, he doesn't need that, because with his speed, power, and hand-to-hand combat skills, he can destroy just about anyone, especially when he's in his true form. Now, the last in the strongest category we need to talk about is the strongest cursed spirit. And some of you might think it's Mahito or maybe Jogoat. But nope, the strongest cursed spirit is the Queen of Curses, Rika. When she was fully manifested alongside Yuta, her raw power was absolutely insane. We're talking ridiculous cursed energy levels, overwhelming strength, and crazy durability. Like Geto even said that with Rika on his side, he could have won. That's how broken she is. So yeah, when it comes to cursed spirits, Rika is in a league of her own. Some other records that need to be mentioned are best grades at Jujutsu High. And come on, you already know who this belongs to, it's obviously Todo. Yup, Todo actually got a perfect 10 out of 10 score in academics. So as I said, Todo really do have 530,000 in IQ. But if Todo has the best grades, who has the worst? Well, you might think it's Yuji since this guy is not that smart. But nope, the one with the worst grades, that's Kinji Hakari. Yuji actually had a 4 out of 10 in academic score, but Hakari, he only had 2 out of 10. Though I think that's because Hakari probably just circled C on every single question and then walked out, since this guy just hates school and thinks it's super boring. He'd much rather be the boss of a fight club and watch people's fever every day. Moving on, we gotta talk about the record for the most popular character in Jujutsu Kaisen. And of course, we all knew that would be Gojo, right? Yeah, in the 4th popularity poll from Shonen Jump, Gojo won the poll with a massive 113,392 votes. And in 2nd place, we've got Yuji Itadori with 48,131, and Megumi came 3rd with 28,502. But the question is, who is your favorite character? Anyway, moving on to the most important record in the entire series, and that's biggest Takada fan. And yep, that's obviously Todo. This guy is obsessed with Takada and completely in love with her. He literally thinks she's the perfect woman, tall with a big butt. So of course this guy always shows up at all her events to just see her, or if he's lucky, shake her hand and talk to her. I mean, he's such a big fan of her that he's even got a picture of her in his necklace right next to his brother Yuji. But sorry, Todo, I know you want to marry her. But as there's a rule that bans idols from dating, you sadly won't end up with her. Another biggest fan record is the biggest Jennifer Lawrence fan, and that's Yuji Itadori. Remember when Todo asked him what kind of woman Yuji's type was, and he said that he likes tall women with a nice big butt, just like Jennifer Lawrence? Yeah, that means that Yuji has to be the biggest Jennifer Lawrence fan we know of. Now, the last record we have to talk about is most wasted potential, and that's actually Megumi Fushiuro. Just hear me out on this one, because this guy had everything going for him. First off, he had the insanely powerful 10 Shadows technique. I mean, this technique is so broken, Gojo even said Megumi had the potential to surpass him one day. He also unlocked domain expansion at a crazy young age, and even Sukuna saw potential in him and was super excited about him and his strength. And don't forget when Toji was temporarily resurrected during the Shibuya incident, after taking down Dagon, he went straight after Megumi. Why? Because Toji instinctively targeted the strongest one nearby, and that was Megumi. Not Naobito, not Maki, not even Nanami. But all that said, what did Megumi even do? I mean, sure, we did see him use his domain expansion, and his fight against Reggie Star is amazing. But during the biggest fight of the entire series, fighting against Sukuna, he was just straight up trapped. And all that insane potential everyone was talking about, he honestly never came close to showing any of that strength. And in the end, he did basically nothing. So sorry, Megumi, you take the crown for biggest wasted potential. But what is your favorite Jujutsu Kaisen record, and was there a record I forgot to mention? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.